Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for episode 26 of SEO Fight Club. We have a couple guests on today, and today it's going to be somewhat casual, but we just want to. Somebody's not muted. Is that me? That was me, looking like a pro. So our topic today is we want to talk about starting SEO groups. So when to do it, why to do it, how to do it, and what goes wrong when you do it. And normally we have a lot of boilerplate for the show. Today we're just going to skip all that because we don't have Clint. He's off fighting fires. Maybe he'll join us midway if he can. But right now I'd like to introduce Marie and Moon. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourselves and about your group?
Sure. Yeah, you start, Marie.
Take charge. My name is Marie. I've been around for more years than I care to count. Do a lot of client work, and we also own Rule Your Rankings, which is a Facebook group that focuses on-page SEO. I work with Moon, and she'll tell you who she is.
Okay, so my name is Moon Hussain, and me and Marie started Rule Your Rankings about, I want to say, close to a year and a half. I'm not sure if it's even been a year and a half fully yet.
I'm not sure.
Like she mentioned, it's we focus on-site SEO, technical SEO mixed in, and I think we have a little bit over 3,000 members right now, 3,300 members, all organic growth. So I think we started in February or March last year. I can't recall.
I didn't really double check the dates, but I think it's been about a year and a half marker for us.
Now, why did you feel the need to start a group?
So we actually felt the need because we realized all of the groups focused, and when I say groups, I mean Facebook groups predominantly. All of them focused on off-page. And when we started to want to focus more on-page, and we're coming up with our own posts and what we wanted to talk about, some of the groups were kind of either deleting our posts or telling us to stop talking about on-page because on-page is so boring and no one really wanted to hear about it. And it just wasn't in the forefront. So for us, it was just kind of a hole that wasn't being filled for us at the time.
Right. Even when me and Marie started talking, just in general, like networking, I didn't know any other female SEOs. And this was before the group was started. When we compared notes, like we were doing a lot of on-site stuff and seeing results from it, which was different than what was being shared in Facebook groups, right? Because the focus is so heavily on just link building and everything it can do for you. Not that link building isn't important, but that's what the focus always was. So when we started talking about these things, on-site stuff in these different groups that we've been a part of forever, it just didn't sit well with, those communities or people running the groups. So then it kind of like we started receiving messages of support as well. And so me and Marie started talking about possibly creating a group. And that's how Rule Your Rankings came to be. So we don't care if you even talk about link building a bit, but we don't want people to be uncomfortable talking about any aspect of SEO. And on-site is more of our focus, but everything is welcome, obviously.
Yeah, getting away from censorship is a powerful motivator.
Right.
Yeah, I felt that way when I tried to participate at Search Engine Roundtable. You get into the comments in there, and people shut you down with negativity or they block your posts.
Yes, and that is another big issue is the negativity that we were finding. So not only towards us, but negativity towards a lot of the members in general. So when we first started out, we wanted to focus with on-page because that's where we were seeing our results. And then secondly, we wanted the group to be a positive experience and also an area where anybody could learn and not the same environments that we were seeing at the time.
Right. And a part of it is like, so, me and Marie, once we started talking stuff, like, why don't we participate? We did participate in these groups, but why don't we vocalize more, about what we think? And some of the groups have this very, I don't know what to call it, herd mentality. If they gang up on someone, the whole group kind of just goes after them, right? And if you talk about on-site stuff and, oh, I saw results without, building links, they can paint you to be a liar. You know what I mean? So we just wanted a comfortable space. We don't want any of that uh, junk in our group. So we tried to make it a very friendly and open spot for beginners, or any level really, but especially beginners, because you don't want to feel stupid. You don't want to feel dumb asking these beginner questions either.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing here is there are themes like you wanted to find like-minded people. You wanted to create a safe place where people can explore ideas, good, bad, right, wrong.
Right.
And you wanted to avoid censorship, and you want to avoid negativity and being attacked online, basically, for ideas.
Right. Yes.
And, I would wager that probably most communities online are formed with those elements, some sort of like-mindedness, some sort of wanting a safe place to share and contribute, and to meet people. Networking would be a reason. Was there a business side? Were you looking to start the community as a fundamental component of your business?
I think in the beginning we did not look at the business side. So when we built our group, we actually did everything backwards and probably wrong. And now hindsight, when we look back at it as we're building it and as it continued to evolve. So we now currently are looking at the business side. We've looked at the business side probably for the last 6 months. But when we first created the group, I don't think we had anything in mind other than just creating something that wasn't already there, and, the issues that you talked about. So I think for us, we built everything backwards and we did everything wrong first. And then as it started, and somehow all of it actually worked.
Yeah.
So now that we're going through it and we're continuing to build, yes, we are focusing on the business side as well as all of the other sides combined.
Right. When we started, it's kind of like just having these proper expectations. Like, we're not going to have a 1,000-member group within like 2 months or anything. So for us, anything was really a win as long as people come, have a discussion. The first few months, like, they're the hardest. The first year is the hardest. And, we still continue to market as best as we can, but it has grown organically so far. But yeah, we laugh about it. Even now, looking back, like, we've done most of this backwards and it works out somehow for us. It has worked out.
So if you were going to give advice to somebody in the audience starting a new group tomorrow, what would you tell them to do?
So we thought about this and we came up with 10 really good tips if you're going to start a Facebook group. Now, we personally chose Facebook because it's so personal and so many people are on it so many different times of the day that we thought it would be an easier group to grow. And we also already had a lot of SEO friends. Right. So we decided to go with Facebook. So we came up with 10 methods that we ended up using by accident. And then in hindsight, we're able to put together a pretty cool, 10 steps to use. But the first step that we have is we actually got started just by being helpful in other groups. That's really how it started. So we participated in other groups for a long time so that when you're ready to launch your own group, you have a lot of friends already in the same business. You already know the holes of the industry, and you're able to start a group with a couple hundred of your closest friends, so to speak. It helps.
That sounded so professional, Marie.
I mean, we kind of fell into that step. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't that
Yeah,
great, but that is how we started. We were helpful in other groups. We had a ton of SEO friends. And when we started a group, we literally asked our friends to join the group.
right. Like if you're going to start a group, you better start helping other people in other groups, period. So your name can become more known anyway, right? So, and then once you start your group, you can pull people in just because they know you and they know you're very helpful and an expert at what you do.
How do you get that word out without offending the other groups, that you were in originally?
So
Like how did you get that kind of word kind of going so that people could then let other people know?
yeah, so that was a little bit tricky. So what we kind of fell into doing after a lot of trial and errors was you can put your group name or how to find your group within your own personal Facebook about profile. And as you're helpful or as you're helping others, a lot of people will check you out or click on you or try to friend you if they like what you had to say. So with the instructions on our profile of how to find rule your rankings helped a lot. A lot of people would just stumble into us when they checked our profiles. And then another way is sometimes we would answer questions or we would say, hey, we just started this group and that's a great question for that group. And a lot of the group members didn't even mind that. They thought it was appropriate. It wasn't like name dropping as a spammer or anything crazy.
Yeah.
It was like, this is a really good topic and we discuss it over here. And nobody really became offended and it helped build a group.
Right. So in the beginning, like when we were doing our posts and stuff in other groups, without really any agenda or anything, and we had started the group, like we also got a fair amount of PMs supporting us, right? Private messages like, oh, hey, we love what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. So at some point we were able to say, hey, we did just start a group. So if you want to talk about these things, feel free to join. So we've never directly dropped our names into any other groups or anything, but that's kind of how it snowballed. We had our own friends, and then people just wanted, they would PM us, and then we would just say, okay, we just started a group. So if you want to join, do it.
Yeah, there's an old school forum trick where people would find a question on the forum, then they'd rush off to their blog and write a quick answer article. Then they go back to the forum and say, hey, this blog post over here says X, Y, and Z, and get their link from the forum to their website for link building. So that's what you described sounds remarkably similar to that, but the Facebook edition.
Yeah, it's the Facebook edition. And a lot of times for us, when we were building this group or it was going on, honestly, a lot of these things were happening without us thinking about it or trying to plan it. Like we would do it and it would work. And then we would talk about it and say, you know what, that actually worked. This is what it was. And should we do it more or should we alter it? So a lot of times when we were going through the steps, we kind of fell into it and then realized what was working and not working.
Right. And it's kind of like we would get support through messages, but then outright we would get these like huge responses back, negative responses and stuff. And so like we would, we're lucky in the sense that as me and Marie, even from the start, there's been camaraderie there. Like, oh, in the beginning when I got a negative response, I was like, oh, I'm not sure I want to post this again. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure I want to create a new post. And Marie would be like, no, do it. There are obviously people, these posts are based in truth and people like what you have to say. So we have this partnership where we back each other up, right? So create the posts, and that's how we've built our community organically, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's not a safe space unless you can overcome the fear. Can't let people silence you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I think it can be scary at first to speak out or to, we're typically very quiet people. So to get the nerve to start posting and speaking up a little bit wasn't as easy as it sounds. So we did have to, because I knew that Moon was watching out for me at the time, or I was watching out for her, it made it a little bit easier for us to go ahead and post and to keep going in whatever this is that we created. So
Right. I mean, I think if it was by myself and I got a couple negative responses, I probably would have stopped. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing we found each other and just kind of helped push each other and then naturally evolved into
yes. Yep.
Yeah, I find that when it comes to groups, going for it solo seems like a crazy idea. The way I kind of liken it is that when you're walking down the street and you see somebody across the street who's talking to himself and waving his hands around, you think that person's crazy.
Yeah.
But if you see a group of 3 people and they're having a conversation and they're all acting like that, then it's like, oh, there must be something important they're talking about.
Yeah.
So just by having another person there as part of the conversation, not only makes it more natural and interesting, it eliminates the crazy single, person walking down the street phenomena.
Right.
It does. It really does. And it just helps to know you have support in anything that we're doing. So while a lot of us have been able to pioneer as one person or solo, we've done best partnering together.
Right. Right.
So, have you had the honor of having a group war yet, where one group has targeted you for special treatment?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we have had, I think we've been targeted from the beginning. So we have certain people, I won't name names, and certain groups that target us because we're not game players, I guess you could say. So we haven't partnered with other groups to push certain agendas.
Right.
So we're constantly targeted to join other groups to push particular agendas. I don't know if they target all of the groups in the same manner, or if they're targeting us because they think one day we'll say yes. But I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we're not really looking to partner with anybody else. We're not really looking to push particular agendas. We kind of just want to nerd out with SEO, talk about it, what's working, what's not working. I don't really want to get into agendas and pushing certain viewpoints and that type of thing. So we have been targeted. We've been asked to partner. We've been given coupons to use particular services. So we've been super careful about whose services we use or don't use. In fact, we've stopped using anybody's service that has an influence online, because they can kind of twist that a little bit too. So
Right.
we're super careful with who we talk to and what we do. And we're just trying to stay out of any of these weird SEO turf wars. I don't even know what to call it.
Right.
Yeah, it needs a name.
It does. It's almost like we stepped onto somebody's corner to sell meth.
Breaking Bad. Oh my God.
Yes, that's what it's like. So it's super strange. I didn't even know this existed.
Right.
And when we started realizing it, we're like, okay, we just want to distance ourselves from that.
Yeah. At this point, we've come to understand that, we don't need anyone's help. And however we grow, we don't have to answer to anyone else's partnership or anything. It's just me and Marie, right? And we work well together. We don't, organically, we can push whatever we want to do. It's just natural to us. It's how we work.
So is there a biggest mistake you've made in the whole community building process? Or has it been smooth sailing?
I think that probably the biggest mistake we made was not starting the group sooner.
Yeah.
I think we could have believed in ourselves sooner and quicker.
Yes.
But we had a lot of self-doubt. I think a lot of the group mentality had a lot to do with that, because we weren't sure if we were actually, why are we seeing these types of results if other people keep talking about other things? And so I think the biggest mistake we made was just not creating the group sooner. And then how we've created the group, how we've kind of fallen into it. I actually loved the process because it was just a genuine process that somehow worked out. I can't complain. I think it's been a really good process for us. And now that we've gotten past like all of the organic parts of starting the group and how to organically grow it, now we're working with, Facebook algos and how much engagement does the group need before it's a suggested group, and how much does the group need before, you get 20 people joining the group versus 3 people joining the group a day. So once you get out the basic organic individual group growth in the very beginning, you then can start playing around with the Facebook algo a lot and making sure you're engaging X amount of times a week and that type of thing to keep the group just organically growing.
Right. Sorry, I just blanked out. I had a point to make and I just blanked out, so go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, have you noticed any patterns? Like in YouTube, I'll often find a YouTube channel that'll have 20,000 viewers. But when I look at the view rates on each of their videos, it's as if they actually have, 1,000 real viewers and the rest were all fake.
Right.
Does that occur a lot on the Facebook side? Have you ever been tempted to buy up your numbers?
So I haven't been tempted to buy up any numbers because for some reason with us, we have celebrated if we had 100 members. We celebrated when we had 300 members. Honestly, it felt, I guess because we had low expectations going in, we were very low. Celebrate very small, like if we had celebrated and told everyone we're celebrating, we have 300 members, other group members probably would have said, you guys are nuts. Like 300 members, who cares? So
I made a whole post at 700.
Well,
I was so excited.
When you think about it, once you get like 500 subscribers, I mean, that's basically being like the most popular kid in your high school class.
Yes. Right. Yes.
So, I mean, that's kind of a big accomplishment.
So it is. I don't think a lot of people talk about it enough, like the beginning of growing a group. Yeah. So we celebrated each time. So I've never been tempted to buy up any members because I would have known it was fake and it doesn't really mean anything to me. And I know I can't really do anything with them.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we've ever been tempted to boost our numbers like that.
So have you guys ever been tempted to boost your numbers with your YouTube group?
Oh, I did it on another channel, and it was all part of an experiment. So I got the other channel up to 20,000 views on a single video, and it was total BS. It did nothing for the video. And I was buying those services that said, give us your video and I'll promote it on my very popular Facebook channels and you'll get all this traffic through it. And what we saw was this pattern where in about 30 minutes, we got 20,000 views. And then several hours later, over the span of 30 minutes, several hours later, we got 500 likes all at once.
Oh, wow.
So the views came first, and then many hours later came in the likes. And it was totally fake and totally scripted and totally unbelievable.
Right. And also, we're both part of a lot of other SEO groups too, and digital marketing groups. And so some of them have huge numbers, like ridiculously huge number of members. But when you look at the engagement, they're kind of dead. Like the engagement isn't there. So for us, the engagement is really important in the groups. And Marie does a really, Marie really keeps up with answering questions and keeping folks engaged. And I think we wanted to keep it very genuine. Like we didn't want to fake it, whatever, any of that stuff. I tried to keep up with it, but Marie's really hands-on with the whole group.
Yeah. Earlier, you made a point about going into other communities and just helping people. And for me personally, that's my favorite recipe for how to become an influencer in any niche. So is that kind of like your model? Is just dedicate some time each day to helping people? Is that your formula?
Yes, so that became our formula before we even knew it was a formula, but now
Right.
we pay attention to it, and we do like to participate in other groups, especially if it's something we can answer, or it's in our wheelhouse. I mean, we can't answer all of the questions, but it is part of our strategy to participate in other groups and just keep helping people that need it.
Right. A big thing of the whole SEO journey is like being able to communicate with other SEOs, help each other out as best as you can. And what I love is like I've lived in the US and I've lived in Pakistan overseas, and like it blows my mind when we go over the stats sometimes. I mean, we have people from rural parts of Pakistan as group members. So it blows my mind that, everyone is just a few clicks away and they're joined by a community and they can help better each other for free, like literally for free, if you have an internet connection and a cheap laptop. So being helpful is a huge part of this thing. Otherwise, nobody likes ads thrown in their faces, or buy my course, buy this, do this. Like we came from the same groups too. Like if the agenda is always, hey, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing 24/7, that stuff just gets old, right? So, it's a numbers game too. Like I just enjoy the free aspect of it. I love seeing a thriving community, and a small percentage who we resonate with will probably buy our course or, do other things. So,
And you mentioned courses. A lot of communities eventually go that route of monetizing information. Is that something you plan to grow, or what is the plan in that avenue?
So we do have a course, and we do plan to grow it. We have strategies probably every week on how we're going to grow, what we want to accomplish. And as we've worked with it, our dreams and goals have changed as we see certain aspects of it. So we're still actually deciding where all of this is going. We do plan to grow the course. We have had a lot of success with the course, but I think that we do need to go in that avenue and grow it a bit more and see where it leads. We do have ideas for other courses and that type of thing. So as this kind of grows and develops is kind of how we change our goals as we're going. But the course route is definitely where we're headed. We already have a course we've launched. We've been through the process. So it is one of our main goals.
Oh, Moon, you're muted.
As she's talking, she muted herself.
No, I think Clint did because of background noise.
Okay.
Oh, still muted.
You've been muted by the gods.
now?
There you go.
Now
There
we
you
can
go.
hear you.
Oh,
better.
okay.
You probably forgot.
Yeah, so one of the things about growing a group, it's not like me and Marie went into this as a business venture, right? So like everything happened organically. So helping others is a big thing before it, and that's the thing. Like I remember people were messaging us, "Hey, do you guys have a course or something like that?" And we'd be like, "No, we don't. You can want." And me and Marie, like having gone through courses and stuff, we were so anti-course. Like we were not gonna release a course under any circumstances. But eventually, we got enough questions where we did. But even then, we were really hesitating. Marie was throwing curveballs at me, like, "Oh, we gotta wait a couple more weeks, and we gotta polish this up." And I was like, "Come on, we just gotta do this." But in hindsight, like it was a good idea. It goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do. You know what I mean? It was just organic.
So, how do you guys like plan out your content? Do you do anything to keep your members engaged in the community? Do you plan events? Do you have a content calendar?
So we are probably the worst group owners ever. And we don't plan that much out. It kind of happens as we go. So we are starting to have meetings and talk about engagement and how can we engage better. And we are starting to plan a little bit of things. But
Right.
we also work full time within our agency. So it's a little bit of a juggle to do both. I wish that we actually did the group a little bit better. In fact, since our numbers are higher, we've dedicated a certain amount of hours to only dedicating towards the group and planning out engagement. But up until really this week, we kind of flew by the seat of our pants, honestly.
Right, and we did start a FAQ Friday, where in the course, whoever has a question that they don't mind us, discussing live, not like Facebook Live, but on video. Like we'll discuss it, we'll record it, we'll release it. The last month has been a little bit rough, and we haven't been able to keep with it, but we're gonna go back into it. So the course is meant to be very interactive. We get questions, but that's part of it, is like we're trying to get more ideas from our members to see how we can make it more interactive. I think FAQ Friday kind of boosts it because everyone has questions. So I think we need to jump back into that.
That makes a lot of sense. So on the YouTube side, it's kind of more about crafting and scheduling content. And so I've been trying to get organized recently, and I've been using several software tools to plan out content. And I found one that I think I like, but I want to put it through its paces a bit more before recommending it. But what I'm trying to do now is to get out ahead of the content by about 6 weeks and get things scheduled.
That would be good.
That's a lot of organization.
Well, you're basically looking at, the current month plus a week or two, and you're just looking at a calendar view going, okay, I'm going to do this topic on this date. I'm going to try and test this part of SEO on that date so I can have data ready for this week, a few weeks ahead.
Right.
So in our group, in our show, we have to schedule guests when they're going to be there. We have to show research, which means we have to conduct the research and get the results. And sometimes we get the data back from our test going, we can't show this. There's nothing here. This is a big goose egg.
Yeah. So I had a question for you guys. I was curious as to how the three of you came together to create the SEO Fight Club. Like, how did this come to be?
We found each other in other groups, and eventually I started hitting the conference circuit, and so I started seeing regular faces at these shows. But a lot of the story is the same as yours. It's just finding like-minded people. I got frustrated at being called an idiot on Search Engine Roundtable by people who basically have no data and just drink the Kool-Aid all day. So I wanted to find somebody who didn't drink the Kool-Aid and who had some data, and to bounce ideas like that off of.
Right.
And does that meet your recollection, Clint and Kyle?
I build relationships with people that are way smarter than me. So it was natural to become friends with these two guys.
Sorry. Paid you to say that.
Yeah.
Which one was it?
Kyle.
And that should be in your tips, right? First, make friends with people who are smarter than you.
I think so. If you want to grow, you need to challenge yourself with people that are way above where you're at. And if you're not doing that because of bias or whatever, then I think you're missing out on a lot of learning opportunities. So,
and I don't think I'm way smarter than Clint. I think my area of expertise is just very different. Like I don't know any people that know the ins and outs of the various tools and platforms better than Clint. Clint has a much better grasp on executing SEO within an agency than I do. He understands the link building services. He understands the PR services. He's got all that dialed in to, much greater degree of expertise than me.
Right. So you guys complement each other anyway, which is what it is like with me and Marie. Like, there's no stepping on each other's toes, period. Like, I bring a different skill set than she does, and then sometimes when we get stuck, we get each other's opinions straight up. That's the fun part, is having that backup there.
So I was curious too, why or how did you guys decide YouTube? Like, why did you launch an SEO the way that you did, and not Facebook or any of the other platforms?
Well,
go ahead first.
This channel is a reboot. So I initially started it as a solo project, and I was the rambling guy talking to himself on the sidewalk, and I felt like an idiot. I looked like an idiot, and it kind of went nowhere. And so it was in one of the Facebook groups. There was an AMA, and people kept asking about a second season of that failed project because the content was on point, but the execution was way off.
Okay.
And I said if there was enough interest in that AMA that I would drag Clint and Kyle into it, kicking and screaming to reboot the show.
Wow.
And so I used it as an opportunity to correct that mistake of trying to do it alone to finding like-minded people.
And has it been easy for you guys to grow it, or are you in it for the long haul? Like, what are your end goals?
It's a gestalt thing so far. I think the effects and the response we've gotten from the show are far greater than I could have ever done on my own.
Yes. Like, I see, on Facebook too, within groups, there are people who mention the show. They, put in links to the show. They're like diehard fans of the show. I see them commenting in the groups like, oh my God, Clint's going to be on, Ted, like they mention everybody. So, you definitely have a really good fan base going.
I do have one question for all three of you guys. Was it hard to do YouTube as in, everything is video format? Like for me and Marie, getting on video was like the hardest thing. We had to push each other. And even now it's like we sweat bullets. So was doing video natural for you guys, or was there fear in the first few episodes and then you guys have just gotten better?
No, it's the most unnatural thing a human being can do, because you see yourself on video, you see your imperfections, you hear the sound of your own voice. You're like, do I really look like that? Do I really sound like that?
Yes.
And you just have to realize that nobody else cares.
Okay.
And once you understand that, then you can relax. You got to remember to breathe. People always forget to breathe. If you just stop, take a deep breath, not only you feel better, but the whole audience feels better when you remember to breathe.
Right.
It's stage fright. It's public speaking. It's all those things that people have very rational fears about.
Right.
Kyle, you're a rock star. How do you deal with the fame?
With the fame?
The fame.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about the fame. I was just thinking with the video, I like to stare at myself while I talk. So I actually don't look at anybody else. I just look at me.
Look at yourself.
I assume that's what everybody else does too. So for video, for me, it's just good to look at myself. That's all I'm doing it for.
There you go. Flip that here.
And what about you, Clint? What are you doing with it?
I think I had the benefit because I did SEO this week for a year before we started this up. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
a lot of people don't know that because I took such a long break. Is you get burnt out. So if you're going to start a show like this, you have to not be afraid to cancel episodes every once in a while and kind of reset, because you get tired very quickly. And SEO this week is unique in that I'm not like Ted. Ted's got to come up with ideas every week. I don't have to. I just go out and find other people's ideas and to have a conversation about them. It's like the easiest platform ever. But and then to ask you a reason why YouTube versus Facebook and stuff, I found Facebook for me is more of a platform that I have to be on versus that I want to be on.
Oh.
Just because it's, anymore these days, especially during election season, I probably close my Facebook account for that whole period of time. Because it's
Yeah, that's true. Like there are
Yeah.
so many times I see these SEOs post like complete nonsense on both sides.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even want to log into my account. Like I don't want to, it's so disappointing. But
Yeah, it's either that or use a tool that kills your news feed so you can just focus on your groups and stuff. But the measuring contests that happen in the groups too, that also, that just bothers me to no end too. You just want to help people. How hard is it to help people without being snidely and being a douche about it? And
Yeah.
right.
I think that's one of the reasons I don't like Facebook too much. But I like, in our case, SEO this week is syndicated through podcast platforms as well.
Okay.
And then we're going to be doing the same thing with SEO Fight Club once I get all the tech behind it. But instead of just the podcast platforms, we're going to do like 39 different channels. And we'll be running it all through Zoom. So I think that's kind of like where you guys, if you're going to do that and you want to do a weekly thing, like the weekly FAQs, I think you're going to find that people will get burnt out and just not go to them anymore. You'll get this like a small, diehards that will always show up. But I think you'll find that maybe you'll try it. If it was my course, my recommendation to you would be do that a bi-weekly thing.
Okay.
Because you're always available in your Facebook group anyway. At some point, they're just not going to have questions to ask. You know what I mean? So if you do it bi-weekly, you'll keep it fresh, and then it'll be easier for you to respond and have content and stuff. So
See, for us,
bi-weekly.
yeah, for us, it's completely different. And that's one of the tips we have to grow your Facebook groups as well. Because I like to write. So I like to write and I don't like to do videos. So Facebook groups were much more natural for us to do. And Marie's not she's not dying to do video stuff either. So for me to write posts and stuff, far easier to edit it, polish it up, release it. And one of the cool things that we did to grow the group in its first year, I think we released 4 or 5 case studies. And the other groups allowed us to post them if we stripped them of our branding. So we stripped our name of the group in there or any promos like that. But I think those case studies, those PDFs were written in a way, I have a style, I like to write with humor in it. So, Marie gets teased about being a Texan, whatever, but people would remember us. So even though I wouldn't say roll your rankings, they would, read about how we did on-site SEO technical stuff and how we boosted rankings, and they would just find us. And when we had our own roll your rankings link in the About Me sections, they would know where to go. So when you drop those case studies, you can have, people are going to check out your profiles. And if you have your link in there, they're going to find it a little bit easier to find you.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like you. I used to like writing. I was really good in school in English. College, it was nothing for me to write a 15-page research paper in 4 hours.
Right.
The day it was due, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But after you start blogging that's when I first started doing SEO, was blogging, and I was writing every day, and now I hate it. So I have
I'm going to turn into Clint in another year, Rory.
You'll be like, video is so much easier.
I know. And for me, I don't like to write, or I like to get to the point.
Yeah.
So I'm like a minimalist. So when I put up something I'm talking about, it's like 4 sentences.
It really is. She teases me about writing novels.
I'm like, this is what you do it like, that's it. And Moon, we always joke that it's like a chapter of a book, and she's writing and she's like, well, here, you write about it. I'm like, I'm going to in like 4 sentences, and we're going to
I can't do it. I can't be that, I can't make the points I'm trying to make within 4 lines, and you do it every time. And I take a little bit of time, and it's got to be a post. So, but
no, and she even creates us like characters. Like that's why people tease me. People tease me about living in Texas and wrapping myself in a Texan flag because she has wrote it into the case studies.
right. It's got to be interesting enough or silly enough for me to write those case studies. Like that's been the big thing about our partnership too, is that Marie has encouraged me to use whatever skill sets I have to make it as fun as I want. Like we have that with each other. But speaking of this, I was missing in action for a week or something, and I come back and Marie's like, "Oh, I wrote a huge post," and I'm like, "Okay." She wrote a paragraph or something, and she's like, "It's 1,500 words," and I was like, "What? You just snort something?" And she's like, "No, it's 1,500 words. It's on this topic." So I was scared for a day. I was like, "Let me see what you wrote," and it's a great, like, she wrote a really good. I think you're going to release it soon. You haven't released it, right?
Yeah, no, I haven't released it, so I'm going to release it this week.
So you have it in you.
Yeah. So it's ready, and I was really proud of it. And then Moon was actually scared. She was like, "You need to write more than 4 sentences." So she was scared. Like, where did you, what did you do? So I wrote that one time, and that might be the end.
Well, this is like part of the partnership. Like these new things are happening. I'm like, okay, you want to run it by me? You want to let me read it? Let me see what you did. And I was extremely pleasantly surprised because I'm so used to seeing her write like 4 to 6 lines, and she makes her point, and that's fine. But that was great. I want you to start doing it every week if you can.
No, it's not happening.
Eat whatever you ate that day and just write it out.
I was way better in math. Didn't excel in English. I was the person who took extra math classes for fun.
Right. Well,
everyone like, what is wrong with you?
I think that is a good point, though. I don't know if a lot of people caught on that. Is you have 2 different personality styles, which allows you to target 2 different personality types and customers. Exactly. So people that are looking for the Moon style will like and know your stuff, and then direct and to the point people like Marie and frankly me, will go after that because if I see a 1,500 word article, it pains me to actually sit down and read it.
I barely read it myself.
Yeah, it's got to be a good article, and if you don't grab me in the first paragraph, forget it.
Right. Which is why I create scenarios.
Even then, I still skim, to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't expect people to read my case studies, but we've had feedback. We're like, "Oh, we loved it," and how did you do this part or that? So people are actually reading everything. So yeah, you're right. There are people who don't want to read all that painful stuff, and they go to Marie for her version, and then you have my version, which is going to take you like an hour to probably get through.
In enterprise SEO, I figured out pretty early on that I was going to get ignored left and right by sharing documents throughout the organization. So within these companies I worked for, I was typically the first person to do it, but I would take all of my presentations, all the documents, everything I needed to share throughout the company, and I'd create a video for it. And I would edit out all of the fluff and the mistakes, and I would condense it. And what I found is that I could turn an hour-long PowerPoint presentation into typically, a 7 to 10 minute video that I could then email and share, and not everybody had to attend live, and people could go back and watch it again, and the absorption rate of the information once I switched from documents to video was much better. And
that's cool.
I've never went back since. Like, I still create documents, but I think if you have to communicate to people, it's hard to beat somebody telling you the information.
Right. And so that's the Marie part. She always wants to do videos less than 5 minutes. If she could take this Facebook Live and make it less than 10 minutes, she would have. But yeah, now I understand. So we try to hit both ranges as best as we can.
Yep, makes a lot of sense.
We did. And we actually have a lot of people, well, influencers who will ask us, how to grow groups. They want to get started or they don't know how. And in particular, they look to grow YouTube and they look to grow Facebook. So we did take our 10 top methods. Some of them we haven't or didn't discuss today. And then Moon made a PDF. So if anybody wants that, they can just message and we'll send them the PDF, or however we can distribute it is good. I don't know if you guys threw anything together, but I know there are people in the industry that really want to do what we have already done. They just don't know how to get started.
Right. Getting started is the hardest part. And I swear that PDF is only 2 pages and it will not take you guys an hour to read.
No.
It's 10 points.
The top 10 points and be done. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, and so what do you envision doing in the next year to grow your community? What are the milestones you're setting?
Well, I don't know if we have concrete. The milestones that we have is one, we need or we want more members to join the group. So we're coming up ways of engagement. We're coming up with even some contest ideas, which is way out of our wheelhouse, but we're going to do it so that we can see how to help the group grow even larger. Right. I think because we didn't have a lot of support from some of the groups, it has spurred us to continue and to do as well as we can. So some of our goals is one, to continue the course and to grow it a little bit bigger, to continue to grow the group, but to keep the group engaged and not having crazy soap opera weird fights that some of the other groups have. So we want it to be a good group. We want it to be engaging, but we want people to feel comfortable to learn. And we want to continue to go in that route. With larger numbers, it does become a little bit harder, but we want to keep it personal and we want to keep it in a good environment for whatever level you are to learn. I really don't care when someone comes in and they think they know everything in our industry. I think we're constantly learning, and that's the best part of it. So that's how we want to continue to grow the group, is with those parameters.
That was a nice answer. Marie actually has an iron fist. No, I think for me personally, I do like goals. Marie did bring up a really cool idea a few days ago about the contest you just brought up. So we're mulling that over. I would love to. I think we're at 3,300 by the end of December. I want to see if we can hit the 5K mark. That would be like a super cool thing for me. I will be releasing a couple of case studies that I'm talking to Marie about, because I think, people are there to learn about on-site and technical stuff, and that free information needs to be there. We're probably going to do a few more videos, become more comfortable with video formats. She's like, no, but come on.
No.
Come on. These guys have made you so comfortable. You're a natural, Marie.
No. And something else that we've done is we've actually taken on a project and partnered with one of our course members.
Yeah.
And so we're going to actually write up a case study on that and the process and how that went. And that's actually been a really good experience for us too, because we can see the course through their eyes to help us polish certain aspects, but to also grow an amazing affiliate website type of thing. It's actually really interesting that we were able to mentor and partner up with somebody.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned the drama earlier, and early in our reboot, we were faced with the same dilemma. People wanted to bring drama into the mix, and
they do. I think a lot of people love drama.
Yeah.
So how did you guys decide against it or what to do with it?
Well, personally, I see that it boosts the numbers. Like, you'll get more view numbers, but all it costs you is your brand.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's how I see it. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong on that.
Right.
But what do you want to be known for?
Yes, and it's not for the largest drama-filled group.
Right. That's not how we behave in real life, and that's not how we want to behave online. Like, that's one of the forever to do this anyway. It's like, okay, we held back because we were afraid of those things. So that's not what we want to bring into our group, right? We want to keep it clean and good and a productive environment for everyone. So one just one thing to keep in mind, if you're going to grow a group, you need to have thick skin. You will get critique from some of the bigger names, not so big names. Of course you'll have positive enforcement too, but it's the negative stuff that can stick with you for a while. And me and Marie we're not perfect. We go through this, from time to time, and then we remember, hey, we're not here for that one person. We're here for the hundreds or thousands that are here, right? So just keep that in mind. You have to have very thick skin to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, to paywall the opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah, people need to join your Patreon in order to submit official opinions.
There you go.
Have you guys seen any negative feedback or pushback from?
Yeah. We every week, every single week, there is one person that goes into our video and downvotes it. Don't know who it is. Every video, they just go in, it, but they come back every week.
That's fine though, because YouTube measures engagement, and that's engagement. So
it's engagement, and they must have a lot of like time on their hands or something.
It's usually people who just have too much time on their hands. Because whenever I see like these long essays justifying whatever they've done, I'm like, I don't have time for this crap. Like, we have chores to do, we have client work to. Like, when do you have time?
Yes, yeah, like we work for a living.
I say Fridays for good fight, so I'm the more confrontational of the three of us, and you two have to talk me down quite a bit because my method is, you want to start some crap, and I'm going to smash you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we started off nice, and now I'm like, I'll hunt you down like a dog.
Exactly.
I've had enough of this crap.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. We have had moments of having to talk each other down.
Yeah.
We've even made a deal before you get into something online. Let's talk about it first and see if the other person thinks it's a great idea.
Right. And there are times we've wanted to, we try not to. Like, it's just not worth the negative energy. Where I can take positive energy and do something with it, right? Or talk to a client, finish some client work, onboard another client, or I can just be bummed out or go off on this person. So it's something, but like I said, it's not perfect. There are times when we want to blast someone, and it takes a lot to push us over the edge, but it comes close. It has come close a couple times, but it's just something that we do.
Now I can't imagine Kyle ever being pushed over.
I know.
He's too.
I want to hear from Kyle.
Cucumber.
Oh man, it's a real struggle. Like when you put yourself out there as a personality, you will get the good with the bad. People will come after you just because you have decided to put yourself out there. There's some sort of resentment or some sort of anger that comes from some people that just want to attack you because you're public. And you're visible. It's an odd thing, but it does exist. No, I I don't know how many times I've written the email and then you delete the email.
Yeah, I have typed up paragraphs and then
deleted it.
Yep. I make sure to actually not take out the person's email address so I can't accidentally hit send.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll do will be to put it in there, but
yeah.
No.
It's a tough one. It's restraint. Restraint.
Yeah, you do get a lot of hate though. You do get a lot of hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a common theme within our industry.
Right.
I don't know why or what's going on. I just think they have a lot of time on their hands, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's something they would never say to your face.
That's another thing. We are super confused about, because even when we didn't have a group or any of that, I've never messaged someone and been mean to them. It's just not in me or in her to do this. So I don't understand the whole leaving someone a thumbs down every week or typing out like negative emails or private messages. Like I don't understand it. So
Well, I think culturally there are different sensitivity levels. And I think people in the US tend to be like more sensitive than like Europeans.
yeah.
And yeah, you go to, a different country and people are yelling at each other, and that's just everyday communication. They're like, what? No big deal. But
Right.
here in the US, it's like, why are you yelling at me?
Yeah.
So I think there are some cultural divides there.
And
Right.
also with social media, I think it's super easy to be behind your keyboard and say all kinds of crazy things that you would never say to any of our faces.
Yeah. Damn right they wouldn't. I would drop one.
I got a fun one not that long ago. This guy telling me that he's a pretty big deal. Or no, you know what he say? I'm a heavyweight in the world of SEO in Australia.
Okay.
He's a heavyweight.
Yeah.
Does he have a belt?
I was impressed.
Oh
First of
God.
all, if they have to tell you they're a heavyweight, there might be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was such a great line. Like I reread it. Like I was like, I did not read that right. I didn't read that right. He didn't write that.
Somebody asked in the comments, how can they find your Facebook group?
You just have to type in rule your rankings. Rule your rankings SEO Unstuck is how we're known. Or you can find us on Facebook, and we have the link for the group name within our profiles as well. We've actually already had people join and say they found us from your show, so it can't be too difficult.
And it's a closed Facebook group, so they have to fill out a form and provide you with the root password to their web server to get
Yes. So we want DNA testing.
The whole thing. And it's really funny because if we don't know you and you don't fill out the questions or the answers, Marie will not let you in.
Right. So a lot of times when people join, it'll tell us if we have mutual friends, or I can see them coming from other groups, and then I can, let them in. Or if I get a feeling it's, they don't belong to any SEO groups and they can't answer any questions, no, I don't let them in.
Yeah. Marie's tightened that belt.
Trying to tighten up a little bit. At first, we weren't as tight, and we did let in a few people who, well, every now and then we just let them in, and they're just spammers. I don't know how many sunglasses they actually sell. Just by joining random groups and posting a link to their sunglasses, but that's what happens.
God, if that worked, I'm selling sunglasses to everyone in the group right. Oh my God.
So Clint, any questions?
Nothing is relevant.
All right.
Yes, questions, but
A couple random questions in there, but nothing relevant to the conversation. So.
Oh, he's got me curious now. I'm afraid to ask.
So, any final thoughts? I know that Kyle has a very important lunch to get to.
Oh,
yes. So I think final thoughts are just to go for it and not to be, have faith and kind of go with it. And if you can find a partner, I think it's an easier road, as we talked about. You don't want to be the one person on the sidewalk, like you said, screaming or acting crazy. But if you can find a partner and it's a good partnership, like you three are a good fit, we are a good fit. Don't find a stressful, crazy partner. But just not to be scared and to be different than everybody else. It'll work out. It's okay. And it's not that big of a deal. And if they want the solid 10 methods that we came up with, just message us and we'll send them a PDF.
Right. As cliche as it sounds, everything that Marie said is true. And the only thing that held me back was myself, right? The fears, the anxieties. If I had just done this earlier, if I had accepted Marie's invite the year prior, we would have hit the ground running faster, probably. just go for it and stop paying attention to anyone who's being negative. I know it sounds cliche, but that is one of our bigger challenges at this point is we are in our own way half the time. So we have to remove that. That just got to get it out of the way. And yeah, we have a PDF if anybody wants tips, just hit us up and we will drop it for you. And thanks for having us on, guys.
Oh, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so
Bring
much.
you back for future topics.
Right. Oh, and Kyle, were you meeting me for lunch?
Sure, you bet. You bet. Actually, I'm going home to die. I feel so terrible.
Man.
Oh,
I hope
man.
you feel better soon, man.
Yeah.
All right, bye guys.
All right. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye, everyone.